Hi, my name's Jessie Burton and I am the author of The Confession, which is my third novel, and I'm absolutely delighted to be answering some questions for my Polish readers. The first question is, what was the inspiration behind The Confession, me writing this novel? And I think this is different to my other two, which were much more obviously historical fiction. The Confession is set in 21st century London and 1980s Hollywood, so it's a lot more contemporary. And I think I wanted to investigate and give a portrayal of women's experiences. There are very different women in the book, different ages, different social classes, and they want different things and they're going through different things. Some of them are trying to become mothers, others don't want to be mothers, others are feeling very lost in their own careers. And I think the book, in a way, is a love letter to my own friends, who I've, now been friends with some of them for nearly 30 years. And obviously we've grown from young women into older women, I suppose. But also there's a lot of life left for us to live, hopefully. And I guess this is just my love letter to them, to acknowledge that sometimes we don't have all the answers, but as long as we are brave and as long as we keep true to ourselves as much as we can, hopefully we will find the right path. The second question is, it's a question about the muse, and it says, the muse, if we can call Elise the muse, and Elise is the young woman in the book who's barely 23 when we first meet her. She's very beautiful, but she's very lost in her life. People sort of project onto her all their own hopes and dreams and fears. And the question is the muse by her nature only a giver, or can she receive something in return? I mean, it's quite a difficult one to answer. I think, I don't know. I can only answer that from an artistic point of view. I feel that whatever the muse is, inspiration, curiosity, doubt, fear, yearning for something, is usually something that gives to me. I do take from that. I don't think there are people in my life that I just take from and don't give back to. But I suppose the muse can receive something in return, which is your own interpretation of life, or your own hard work, or an offering, be it your time or your work. Like in my case, it's my novels. But whether or not the muse wants those, I'm not quite sure, but hopefully she does. I think this next question is, for feminists, motherhood is a decision. For Connie, it means a loss. Connie doesn't want to be a mother in the book. What is my definition of motherhood? Well, I think my whole point of the novel is that there's no one-size-fits-all motherhood, that you can... I think a lot of women initially, when they become mothers, they experience a very difficult loss of identity, or a sort of splitting of identity with the new child in their life. And it's quite a scary experience. Others feel extremely fulfilled, but I don't think it's ever a fixed thing. I think it's a thing that's constantly in flux. And I think what I wanted to do was give a portrayal, a generous portrayal of motherhood, in all its positives and negatives, all its glories, the fact that it's a very individually experienced thing. And I think that the media and I think that art tends to homogenize that experience, and I don't think that's fair. And I think in The Confession, I just wanted to show these women as individuals experiencing these things very much on an individual basis. And I think that life is a compromise, and our success in life and our happiness in life is learning to manage that art of compromise. And I think that motherhood does come with a lot of compromises. It also comes with a lot of blessings and excitements and unforeseen joys. But I also think it's a huge challenge, and we have to be more open about that, because I think women are often made to feel very inadequate because they think they're supposed to be a new person almost with their new children, and they don't feel like that, and they then feel inadequate. So I just wanted to make women feel less alone. I have had a lot of letters from readers saying that, you know, their own experiences, for example, of postnatal depression or baby loss and really difficult things that we don't talk about that much in the spectrum of motherhood has really helped them. So I'm very pleased about that. Why does Connie prefer to keep her sexuality private and she's not an activist? Connie says that, you know, she feels that just by the sheer act of being who she is, that in itself is political. And, you know, everyone's different. Like Connie's existence, Connie's novels exist in the world as a kind of extension of her and potentially an extension of her queerness. And I think that the assumption that we have that because you might be gay, you therefore have to like be out on the streets defending yourself or speaking up for yourself or for your people is it doesn't necessarily work for everyone, and it doesn't make, not everybody wants to do that. And I think whilst, you know, we cannot deny how incredible people, queer people through particularly the 20th century and of course now are having to educate and fight for their rights, I think it shouldn't necessarily be on those people to do all of that work. And, you know, Connie grew up in a very different generation, a generation where it was not really, well, it was illegal for a start. So I think, you know, she just grows up in a world where perhaps she wasn't given the language or the sense of safety that she could express herself. And Connie is someone who expresses herself through writing. So she does it that way. And as far as I'm concerned, that's absolutely fine. It's a question about sensing Connie. So Connie's novels are feature in this novel, the description of them and what they're like, and that she's writing a new novel in this book. And the narrator says that, you know, you can sense Connie coming through in this book that she's writing many years on. And the question is, my own books seem to have recurring themes of youth, art, creativity, being the muse, femininity, and personal freedom. How much of yourself did you give to Connie? It's the age-old question, you know, how much of me is Connie, or how much of me is any of the characters? How much of me is this book? And, you know, this is a piece of fiction. It's a recalibrated fantasy of the real world. In it, I ask questions and I try and answer some of them, but you always end up asking more questions, really. Connie is a fiction. She's a fictionalized creation. She's not me. She's 73 years old. I'm not there yet, but she is a novelist and she does express frustrations and pleasures about the writing process that are very close to my own heart. And I think any novelist, you know, it is a manifestation of the way that they understand the world, their own novel. And so their own characters will be, in many ways, fragments of their own selves. But we ourselves are not fixed creatures. So I'm just there exploring and imagining different situations and hoping to communicate those to a reader. And of course, there will always be a curiosity as to how much of you is in the book. I'm entirely in the book. It's my book. I wrote it. But at the same time, I'm completely absent from the book because none of this is real. So there's your answer. But I hope that helps. And I really hope that you enjoy this. This is my third novel. I'm extremely grateful to all my Polish readers. Thank you so much and have a good week. Thanks.